What's going on, y'all? Let me get the heck out of here. Hey, look, I'm down by the beaches of Delaware, right? And I don't know why I'm laughing. We got a daggone tornado warning today. Hey, look, y'all got to understand, the state of Delaware, I've only lived in 2 states, Delaware and Maryland, Baltimore City. And we don't do big, bad natural disasters like that. Okay, we just don't do them. All right. The most we do is like really bad storms. I think we've had a few hurricanes, but nothing crazy. Some snowstorms, yes. But like really big, bad natural disasters like earthquakes and tornadoes, we don't know. We don't know what to do when those type of situations happen. So today, this place was tripping. This place was bugging. They are flipping out. Well, apparently one of the main higher ups is from a tornado ridden. It comes from a tornado state, a state where she's familiar with tornadoes. So she's wanting to take all the tornado precautions that she knows, and the people here at this facility, they have no idea what's going on because we just don't get them. So we're not used to them. It's kind of like us on the East Coast when it's wintertime and we be seeing videos of you people out there in states that don't get a lot of snow. We be watching y'all driving. Y'all don't be knowing what in the world y'all doing. It's like us when we be watching y'all, we be laughing at y'all. We be cracking up because y'all don't get snow like that. So y'all don't really know how to react. Y'all don't know how to drive. Y'all don't know, what to do. So we be tripping off of y'all. But yes, y'all can laugh at us because we don't know what to do. They was I guess this stuff is natural that you're supposed to do. They were shutting all the windows of the facility. They were getting all the residents out of their rooms, everybody was in the hallway. They were bringing all the residents in the hallway, even the ones that are bedridden. They were bringing beds into the hallway. Oh, it was just chaos. It was just chaos. And the tornado was supposed to come, and we waited and waited and waited, and it never came. The staff was pissed. It was this one CNA. She said, "Man, this thing better touch down." She said, "This thing better touch down. All this work we doing," because it's almost time for them to get off. Like it was pushing close to 3, and the nurses, CNAs, they get off at 3. So they had them doing all this stuff at about 2:45. They were tripping. Whew. But anyway, nothing happened. But I'm getting out of here because they say there's another warning that we're not out of the clear yet. We're not out of the clear. I'm laughing. Like I said, we don't do this. We don't do tornadoes. We don't know nothing about tornadoes. All right. Don't know what to do. Don't know how to prepare. Don't know the proper procedures. We should, but we don't get them like that. It was like, a few years back in the state of Delaware, we got a itty bitty earthquake. I don't know if anybody is from Delaware, if you remember that. We got the tiniest little earthquake. It was so tiny, I didn't even feel it. I was mad that I didn't feel it. Everybody else felt it. I was actually in a nursing home up in Dover, Delaware. And it was some of the residents, they was like, "What was that?" I never forget, there's one lady sitting in a wheelchair. And she said to the girl who was standing behind her, she said, "Did you push my chair?" Nobody knew. And it come to find out it was a daggone earthquake. Tiny little earthquake in the state of Delaware. I didn't even feel it. Whew. So yes, they were all tripping. And it was funny because today is, I think, nursing home week. So in nursing home week, they like to do stuff for the staff, right? So I think every week they like dress up as ADs, and they had all these, fun things to do. Well, the administrator actually had the ice cream truck come today. During the tornado warning, the ice cream truck came up and we couldn't go out and get no ice cream because we had to sit and wait for the tornado watch to clear for us to get it all clear. So everybody wants ice cream. The ice cream truck was right out there. I even took a picture of it because I wanted some ice cream. So we had to wait for it all clear, and then we went and got our ice cream. Oh man, it's fun times, y'all. Fun times. So I'm on my way home because where I rest my head at, I think it's clear. We don't have no tornado warnings up where I'm at. I'm closer to the Dover area of Delaware. Right now, I'm down near the beaches, okay, near where all the water is. All right, so I'm getting my butt on up the road. But I hope y'all are doing all right. How are y'all? Are y'all good? Everybody all right? It's Friday. Hope everybody's in a nice Friday mood, Friday vibe. Hope y'all doing all right. Whew. Oh, man. Hey, look. I probably talked about this wonderful young lady before, maybe in another video, but she is so awesome. I'm going to talk about her again. I have some of the best, some of the coolest, some of the most memorable conversations with this young lady. Whenever I come to this facility, I am so happy to see her, even if I don't have her on my schedule for therapy. But I did have her on my schedule for therapy today, and I was so happy to talk to her. Now, she always takes me down memory lane. She gives me a history lesson of how things used to be back in the day. And I'm always here for it. I'm always up for a good story from my buddy, even if it's a story she's told me before. Sometimes she forgets, so she tells me these stories. But I'm going to tell you a little part of her story, or some of the things she used to do. And we're talking about this because we're talking about some of the problems facing our society and world today. We're talking about some of those problems, all right? And she believes the phones, the screens, the TV screen, the computer screen, the phone screen, the tablet screen, all of those screens, she says yes, she's in her late 90s. She says yes, they're good for some. But I think that the majority of them are bad for our children. And I echo her sentiment. I agree with her 100%. She says they're good for some, but they're also very, very bad. And she tells me stories about how she used to swim in the Susquehanna River. Do you know what the Susquehanna River is? Okay, it's a river, I think it connects New York, Pennsylvania, and I think Delaware. But I think she lived in Pennsylvania at a time, and she used to go swimming in the Susquehanna River with her friends. That was just what they did. And she talks about it. She told me that the water used to come from Buffalo. And I think it's one of the biggest rivers on the East Coast. I really do. But she tells me how she used to go swimming in the Susquehanna River. She tells me stories of how she used to wear the skates that you clink to your shoes. I don't know if y'all ever seen them. Y'all probably, a lot of people who follow the channel a little bit older. She said that those are skates that are metal and they would click to your shoes and you would strap them up. You didn't have to buy roller skates. They just fit on your shoes. She said they would skate with those skates on. And then she tells me about what the treat was at the end of the day. She said they would start a fire, and she said they would get potatoes from, I don't know, the farm, or somebody grew potatoes in the neighborhood. I don't know. She said they would get potatoes and they would run in the house and get the salt shaker, right? She would get potatoes and the salt shaker and take them to the fire and just toss the potato in the fire. I said, what? I said, no aluminum foil? She said, no. She said, we have no aluminum foil. She said, we just toss the potato in the fire. And I said, okay, doesn't it burn? She said, no, it cooks. And she said, you get it out, you maybe grab a stick and poke it and get it out, and then you just put salt on it and eat it like that with your hand. I said, what? She said, yeah. She said, we didn't have any butter. And she said, this was a good time for her. And I'm like picturing this. Somebody tell you a story like that. Like you picture it, all right? I'm picturing it in my head, and I'm picturing a good time. Just tossing potatoes in the fire. She said they used to have such a good time. She told me a story of how her house burned down when she was like 7 years old. And her father, wanted the family to stay together when the house burned down, because they had it was like 7 kids. It was like 7 kids, mom and dad. When the house burned down, she said the neighbors actually let them stay with them for a few weeks until dad was able to find another house. That is cool. I don't know if neighbors do that kind of thing anymore, but she said, yes, the whole family stayed at the neighbor's house for a few weeks because their house burned down until dad was able to find another house. That is a nice story. I mean, a sad story, the house burning down, but nice that the neighbors let them stay over, right? So she just sitting there just vibing with me, telling me all these little nuggets from her childhood. And I can't help but, look at her in her late 90s. And she tells me she's never had a smartphone. never had a computer, never had a smartphone or a computer. And she just still enjoys life, just getting up, reading, getting out of her bed, going for walks. And I can't help but agree with her in the sense that these phones, yes, there are some good involved with them. You can get information, you can connect with your friends, you can meet people like you meet me, getting to know somebody who you never would have met and hear stories like this and get lessons like that. I think it's good for stuff like that. But we got to be careful, man, that we don't stay glued to the screens. You feel me? I had this talk with my kids the other day, man, letting them know about being careful with the digital world, because if you spend too much time in the digital world, you're going to make the real world look like it ain't all that, look like it ain't nothing. Feel what I'm saying? Because the digital world is going to show you the highlight reels of everything. The digital world is going to show you all the wonderful highlight reels of everybody and everything going on. Social media. And then you got to put the phone down, put the screen down and look at the real world. Your real world is not going to seem like all that. You're going to feel like your real world is lacking. Okay? But that's not the case. The real world is not lacking. You just got to go out there and live in it. You got to go out there and live in it. Oh man, but she said, yeah, she thinks that's true. And she said, she's asking me, she said, what do I think the problem is? I said, well, to be honest with you, we get marketed a certain lifestyle, certain things. And look, we sitting outside. We took a walk outside. This was earlier before the tornado warning. This was way in the middle of the day when it was nice out. We took a walk outside and we sitting back on the back patio, right? This little back patio, this nursing home got nice little patio. And I told her, I said, look in that parking lot. And I showed her these trucks. And I took a picture of it. I'll show you the picture of these trucks. I said, you know how we get marketed to? I said, we get marketed to by them telling us that truck right there, that black truck right there, we need a truck like that, right? And that white truck like right there, we need a truck like that. And you know what I did? I asked, I said, how much do you think one of those trucks cost? She said, I have no idea. I said, try about $50,000. If you could see, if you could see the look on this late 90-year-old's face when I told her the price of that truck, that black truck and that white truck, I said probably about $50,000 easy, maybe more. She could not believe it. She couldn't fathom, neither can I, but she could not believe that somebody would pay. She asked me, she said, how do they afford this? How can someone afford it? I said, they can't. I said, they don't. and mind you, the people that own these trucks work right in the building we're sitting outside of. They work in a nursing home. And she said, how do they afford them? I said, you can't. I said, no, they can't afford it. That's the point. That's how we get marketed to. Can't afford it? So what? You want it? Take it. That's how we get marketed to. And then I told her that puts an added layer of stress on society, but this is how the game goes. And she said that she's glad that she doesn't have to deal with that. And I asked her, I said, well, how much was a car back in your day? Mind you, she's in the late 90s. She said, I don't know, maybe a few $100. But she said, you know what? We didn't have one. We couldn't afford one. I said, okay. She said we didn't need one. But just interesting, yo. I wish I could record this conversation with this late 90-year-old, but I can't do that. But I'm trying to give you all a snapshot, a glimpse into the mind of a late 90-year-old. And you know what I told her? I asked her, what you gonna do when you turn 100? You know what she did? She put her hands together. She said, oh, please. She said, please, God. She said, please, God. Please don't let me reach 100. I said, what you talking about? She was like, oh, no, I don't want to. She said, I don't want to. I said, why not? You're doing good. She said, yeah. She said, my grandfather lived to be over 100. She said, but I do not want it. She said, I am done. I said, okay, man. I said, but I think you're going to do it, to be honest with you, the way she gets around. She's had a few ups and downs, but for the most part, she's one of the most active people in that nursing home. Always out and about, always. That's how I became real close to her. Just seeing her in the hallways, walking, strutting, doing her daily walks, and I would stop and talk to her. That's how we became real cool. She's always got time for me, and I always got time for her. But yes, we both agreed that the phones and the screens They do some good. Yes, they do some good. You can learn so much. You can learn so much more than you were able to back in her time. But there's a bad side to it. And you know what I told my children? I said, this is funny. I had a talk with two of my children the other day. I told them, and I think my son probably checked this video. I told them, I said, look, you got to understand, we're going through an experiment. We're going through an experiment. And guess who are the test subjects? I said, you are the test subjects. I was talking to a 14-year-old and a 24-year-old. I said, y'all are the test subjects. My children, y'all are the test subjects. You know what I mean? They are the ones who were born into this world. Born into the world with the screen. Born into the world of the social media. Born into well, maybe not my son. 24. He didn't, you know what? He wasn't that into it when he was young. He was into the video games, yes. But I'm talking born into the screen world. I'll call it that. Whether it's a computer, a TV, a video game, a smartphone, a tablet. Born into the screen world. I say y'all are born into the screen world. Y'all are the test subjects for us as a society to see how it goes. You know what I'm saying? We're going to see how it turns out when y'all are around my age. I'm 44. Y'all around my age, we're going to see the psychological effects it's had on you. And so far, the studies are showing there's some bad effects happening because of it. There are some bad effects. So I told them they got to be careful. Got to be careful. Spend more time in the real world as opposed to the digital world. You got to. You know, my daggone grandson. Whoo, this boy is 2 years old. Oh my God. He came to stay with me, and the way his fingers flew across the phone screen. It was like he came out of the womb with the phone in his hand. It was like, I don't even know how to explain it. My man is swiping. He's starting 2 years old. You're swiping and starting videos and stopping videos and pausing and swiping to the next one and going back and like hitting, slow down, slow motion. I'm like, yo, how? So they are the test subjects, y'all. We aren't. Shout out to the 80s babies. I'm an 80s baby, born in 1980. We ain't the test subjects. We got integrated into this world, okay? We were integrated into it. We learned it. We picked it up. And yes, we're using this stuff and using it to our advantage and disadvantage, But we weren't born into this world. We had lives before the screens. Like my lady. We used to go out and play. We used to hang out in creeks. I used to go out and hang out in creeks with my friends, get up to doing no good, go out and play sports, hang out on the corners with the fellas. I used to do that. But nowadays, you don't see much of that. So the test subjects, I don't know how old you are. If you were one of those younger people, I don't think a lot of younger people watch this channel, but if you are a younger person, you are a test subject. You are a test subject to see how this plays out. How the world of social media plays out into adulthood. You feel me? Whew, my friend, my 90-plus-year-old friend, she doesn't think it's going to play out very well for you. Sorry to dampen the mood. But yeah, man, I wanted to tell y'all about my friend, her views, her outlook. You know what I'm saying? She says she does not want to make 100. She says she is done. You know what she asked me at the end of our conversation? We had to go in. She said, well, let me ask you a question. What did you learn today? I said, I learned a lot. I said, ma'am, I always learn a lot when I talk to you. Always. She said, oh, did you really? I said, yes. She said, are you going to tell your children? She said, you're going to tell your children you talked to the old crazy lady today? I said, I am going to tell my children that I talked to my friend today and she gave me some valuable life lessons. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to tell some other friends too. That's what I told her. She said, oh, you are really? Yes. And that's what I'm doing right now. Telling some other friends about my buddy who's in her late 90s, still doing awesome. And I got a lot I learned from her. Whew. Oh, y'all. Anyway, y'all, it's your boy, one physical therapist assistant. Let me know. Are you a test subject or are you integrated into it? If you are integrated into it like I was and my wife, I think we're okay. think we're okay. We're not letting it overrun us. You feel me? Yes, we on the screens. Yes, we use the phone. Yes, we do. But we're not letting it overrun us. We still can get out there and live. We still, and look, this goes back to my other video talking about, getting out and enjoying nature. We still enjoy that. We still can enjoy getting out in nature and walking and going to the park and playing basketball. We still can enjoy that because that's what we used to do. That's what she used to do. I don't know if I'm going to jump in the Susquehanna River. I don't know if I'm going to do that, but I'll enjoy a bonfire. I might try the potato thing. Like she told me to. She's like, yeah, just toss the potato in. I was like, what? Doesn't it get burned? She said we didn't have no aluminum foil. Oh, man. But yes, that's my girl. I love it when I talk to my girl. So, y'all, it's your boy, one physical therapist assistant. Y'all know what the deal is, man. Always respect your elders. Always. And please, please, please help people out whenever you get a chance. Don't forget that, man. Just help somebody however you can. All right? I tried to help a lot of people today. I helped people today who I was not assigned to help. You feel me? If it's your job to help people, don't forget to help people who it's not your job to help people. You understand what I'm saying? Sometimes if you got a job that you're supposed to help people, it also pays to help other people who are not your assigned person to help. I did that a few times today, and I feel better because of it. Oh, man. Well, anyway, y'all, be safe for the weekend. Watch out for the tornadoes, okay, if you live down this way. And I will holler at y'all in the next video.
We keep letting it go for too long. It was time to react. You can hide, but the music will stop, it's a fact. You want something else, I agree, well that's where you belong. No point bending backwards for me, I'm just shifting along. There's no use holding on. If you love it, you set it free. Just let it go, move along. That's how it's got to be. Take it down, breaking slow. C'est la vie, c'est the old